कर लिया है sir. Can we start, VC sir?
Yes, we should start.
Okay. Devani ma'am, please start. शंकर सर, हम लोग स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं.
नमस्कार सर. नमस्कार.
Very sir, can you please switch on your camera, Shankar sir?
I will come on video a little later. Do you want me on the video now?
Okay, you can come later by the.
Later because I'm traveling. I have to stop somewhere and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Devani ma'am, please start.
Yes, a very warm welcome to our honorable chief guest, Padma Shri Professor G. Shankar, international renowned architect, Honorable Chancellor Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Rupinder Dhar, all HOIs and HODs, coordinator, section heads of various departments and institutes, my colleague and a student present online with us. I, Devani Joshi, feel privileged to welcome you all on the behalf of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya to this lecture organized on the occasion of 9th Foundation Day of our university. And to begin with it, we will have our traditional auspicious lamp lighting ceremony and Saraswati Vandana as a tribute to Ma Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. I would request the technical team to please play the scene. Now, I would like to request Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Chancellor, and Dr. Rupinder Dhar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, to welcome our chief guest, Padma Shri Professor G. Shankar, international renowned architect. Over to you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Upinder Dhar, Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya for his welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to all of you. Honorable Chancellor of the University, Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, all colleagues, chief guest on this very special occasion, architect Shankarji, and dear friends. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all of you for this special day, that is 9th Foundation Day of the university. We are still in the initial phase of institution, that we're only, in a way, you can say 8 years old as an institution. That's why we are celebrating 9th Foundation Day and making beginning of the 9th year of existence. As all of you know, and I would like to share with the chief guest that our university has certain USPs to make it different from the rest of the institutions while offering quality education. Today, the university has 16 schools, besides 5 centers of excellence, and 120 full-time degree programs are offered through these 16 constituent institutes. We are having around 8,000 students with more than 300 faculty. On one hand, we offer education in the professional domain. In fact, professional domains like engineering, architecture, management, agriculture, and so on. At the same time, education is also offered in liberal studies and traditional disciplines like science, social sciences, art, and so on. I'm very happy to share with the chief guest that we had celebrated our 5th convocation very recently. And most of the students who have passed out from this university in last 4 years, counting it from 2018, when we had first convocation, these students, now alumni, are doing very well. Many of them are working in other countries. And those who are working within the country are doing very well and contributing to the economy of the nation. We have been making efforts to stay in touch with all the alumni through alumni meet, which we organize every year in the month of December. Quality is the first priority. Quality and merit is the first priority of the institution. So without compromising on any dimension of quality, this university has been doing fine, not only at the state level, but at the national level too. We have academic collaboration on one hand with 2 foreign universities, one St. Cloud State University, Minnesota, United States, and other with the Hanyang University, Seoul. On the other hand, collaboration with industry is very important. So we have signed MOUs with leading business organizations like IBM, TCS, Impetus, Red Hat, Microsoft, and so on. Intention is to offer what is required by the prospective recruiter, not today only, but tomorrow, keeping eye on the requirements and needs of the tomorrow, the coming times. For that, for understanding the future needs, on every statutory body of the university, we have representation from industry, particularly on the boards of studies. So we have representation of industry on, and practitioners are also there on all the boards of studies, so that we include in our curricula what is necessary for equipping the students, for imparting skills to the students, and making them job ready. At the same time, our university has been emphasizing on entrepreneurship, encouraging students to come forward for having their own startups. There are some examples of our students who have set up their own startups, who have started their own enterprises, and some of them have joined their family business. Reports are also, the feedback is also very good. So with these words, not standing for a long time between our guest speaker, I once again welcome the chief guest, Architect Shankar, to this 9th Foundation Day of the university. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your escalating words. Now, I would like to request Shri Purushottam Dasji Pasari, Honorable Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, to enlighten us with his words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
नमस्कार। एक कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय पद्मश्री प्रोफेसर जी शंकर जी, वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय के कुलपति डॉक्टर उपेंद्र धर जी, वैष्णव न्यास के सचिव श्री कमल नारायण जी बुराड़िया, वैष्णव पारमार्थिक न्यास के समस्त ट्रस्टीगण एवं मेंबर, सभी अतिथिगण, डायरेक्टर्स, हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स, विश्वविद्यालय के समस्त अधिकारीगण, शिक्षकगण एवं प्रिय विद्यार्थी, आज हमारे लिए अत्यंत ही गौरवशाली क्षण है कि हमारा विश्वविद्यालय सफलतापूर्वक अपनी स्थापना के 8 वर्ष पूर्ण करके 9वें वर्ष में प्रवेश करने जा रहा है। इस विशेष दिन को हम प्रतिवर्ष की भांति आज दिनांक 8 जनवरी को आप सभी की ऑनलाइन उपस्थिति में मनाने जा रहे हैं। इस अवसर पर मैं आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। विशेष रूप से आज हमारे बीच पधारे हुए प्रोफेसर जी शंकर जी का विशेष रूप से स्वागत करता हूं कि उन्होंने आज यहाँ इस कार्यक्रम में पधार के हमें गौरवान्वित किया है। आप सभी को यह अवगत कराते हुए अत्यंत हर्ष का अनुभव हो रहा है कि श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय समाज के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों की जरूरत को विविध विधाओं में उच्च शिक्षा के माध्यम से पूर्ण करने की ओर प्रयासरत है तथा स्थापना के अल्प समय में ही यह विश्वविद्यालय प्रादेशिक एवं राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर उन्नतिशील संस्थान के रूप में अपने आप को प्रतिष्ठित करने में सफल रहा है। विश्वविद्यालय में उत्कृष्ट तथा उच्च गुणवत्तापूर्ण प्रशिक्षण, अनुभवी प्राध्यापक, सर्व सुविधा युक्त प्रयोगशालाएं एवं अध्ययन तथा अध्यापन हेतु अनुकूल वातावरण छात्र छात्राओं को उपलब्ध है। श्री वैष्णव ट्रस्ट एवं इसकी सहयोगी संस्थाओं ने गत 138 वर्षों से इंदौर शहर में नर सेवा नारायण सेवा इस मंत्र को आधार मानकर जन सेवा एवं जन कल्याण के अनेक प्रकल्प संचालित किए हैं। इसी कड़ी में सभी पूर्ववर्ती संस्थापकों की दूरदर्शितापूर्ण नीतियों के क्रियान्वयन के फलस्वरूप शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में सन 1951 में प्रथम संस्थान श्री क्लार्क मार्केट वैष्णव हायर सेकेंडरी स्कूल की स्थापना की गई थी। यह पहला कदम था। यह विद्यालय स्थापित होना ही वैष्णव ट्रस्ट के इतिहास में टर्निंग पॉइंट सिद्ध हुआ। इसके पश्चात 1962 में श्री वैष्णव पॉलिटेक्निक, 1967 में श्री वैष्णव वाणिज्य महाविद्यालय, 1981 में श्री क्लाथ मार्केट वैष्णव बाल मंदिर, 1992 में श्री वैष्णव कन्या विद्यालय, 1993 में श्री वैष्णव एकेडमी, 1995 में श्री वैष्णव प्रौद्योगिकी एवं विज्ञान संस्थान तथा 2005 में श्री विधि संस्थान एवं श्री वैष्णव शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण महाविद्यालय स्थापित किया गया। और इसके पश्चात वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय बहुत ही गौरवशाली संस्था की स्थापना सन 2015 में आज के दिन हुई थी। आज इन्हीं सभी संस्थाओं में 25,000 से अधिक विद्यार्थी अध्ययनरत हैं। उल्लेखनीय है, न लाभ न हानि के आधार पर संचालित ये सभी संस्थाएं अपनी प्रतिष्ठा से संपूर्ण प्रदेश को गौरवान्वित कर रही है। सभी शासकीय औपचारिकताएं पूर्ण करने के पश्चात सन 2015 में श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय मध्य प्रदेश निजी विश्वविद्यालय अधिनियम के अंतर्गत स्थापित किया गया था। विश्वविद्यालय की स्थापना मानवता के बेहतर भविष्य के उत्थान को उत्कृष्ट शिक्षा, प्रशिक्षण एवं अनुसंधान के माध्यम से सुलभ करने की दृष्टि से ही की गई है। विश्वविद्यालय का उद्देश्य ऐसा उत्कृष्ट शैक्षणिक वातावरण प्रदान करना है जिससे कि बौद्धिक, नैतिक एवं आध्यात्मिक प्रेरणा मिल सके एवं मूल्य आधारित नेतृत्व की क्षमता को पोषित किया जा सके। विश्वविद्यालय हमेशा सामाजिक रूप से जिम्मेदार नागरिकों के विकास एवं वैश्विक समाज के विकास की ओर प्रयासरत है। विश्वविद्यालय में हम कई नवीन प्रोग्राम का संचालन कर रहे हैं, जिनमें बिग डेटा एनालिटिक्स, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स, साइबर सिक्योरिटी, क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग, मेकाट्रॉनिक्स, फॉरेंसिक साइंस, एग्रीकल्चर इंजीनियरिंग, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, आर्किटेक्चर एवं डिजाइन, फाइन आर्ट्स, फूड एवं न्यूट्रिशन और लॉ प्रमुख है। बदलते समय के साथ विद्यार्थियों को ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज तथा इंडस्ट्री की जरूरतों के हिसाब से भी नए विषय पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं। हम लगातार अपने विश्वविद्यालय में उत्कृष्ट एवं नवीन तकनीक से शिक्षण कार्य कराने की ओर अग्रसर हैं। अंत में मैं आपका ज्यादा समय नहीं लेते हुए बस इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा कि मुझे विश्वास है कि हमारा विश्वविद्यालय इसी प्रकार विद्यार्थियों को उत्कृष्ट शिक्षा प्रदान करता रहेगा एवं शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में नए आयामों को हासिल करते हुए देश के भविष्य की नींव सुदृढ़ करने में अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देता रहेगा। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय वैष्णव।
Devani ma'am, you are mute.
Thank you, sir, for your delighted words. Now, I would like to request Architect Vishal Yardi, Director, Shri Vaishnav Institute of Architect and Coordinator Cultural Committee, to share with our audience the introduction of our chief guest, Professor G. Shankar, internationally renowned architect, and read citation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Devani ma'am. Professor G. Shankar is the pioneer of people's housing movement based on cost-effective and sustainable building technologies in India. He has done his MS from Birmingham School of Architecture, UK, postgraduate diploma in journalism. He is DLIT from University of Asia. His concept of green architecture has brought about much required qualitative change to the shelter sector in Kerala. He draws inspiration from the architect Laurie Baker and has taken up the mission to involve the people in every step of the building process. His sensitivity to the needs of the common man, the marginalized, the fisher folk, and the slum dwellers, the tribals, earned him the title of People's Architect. Professor Shankar finds contentment not in building opulent structures, but constructing cost-effective homes for all strata of society. Since 1987, he is UN consultant for disaster mitigation for Sri Lanka and Maldives. He is also chairman of the National Committee constituted by Government of India to formulate guidelines on disaster-resistant building technologies. He has been mission chief for the Nepal disaster mitigation, United Nations Environment Program. He is also an advisor consultant to All India Council for Technical Education, National Institute of Rural Development, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, and Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, New Delhi. Commitment, enthusiasm, passion, and an eye for the beauty, these are the elements that add a special touch to Shankar's architecture. Professor G. Shankar has won many awards for his endeavors. Par excellence, Padma Shri Award in the recognition of distinguished service in the field of science and engineering by the Government of India in 2011. He has won National Award for the slum rehabilitation works constituted by the Ministry of Poverty Alleviation, National Award for the Best Eco-City Design HUDCO, and National Award for Best Green Building Design Person of the Year Award by India Vision News Channel. He is the founder and chief architect of Habitat Technology Group, an NGO working in the shelter sector of South Asia with responding centers in India and in other developing countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nigeria. Presently, it is a group of 400 professionals with a support base of 30,000 trained habitat workers. Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya is pleased to felicitate Professor Gopalan Nair Shankar on its 9th Foundation Day and invite him as a distinguished speaker on January 8, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Chancellor, and Dr. Rupinder Dhar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya, to present citation to our chief guest, Padma Shri Professor G. Shankar. Thank you, sir. It gives me an immense pleasure to invite our chief guest, Professor G. Shankar, to enlighten our audience with his enlightening thoughts.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, distinguished audience. It's my pleasure and it's my privilege to address you on the 9th Foundation Day of this Vishwavidyalaya, which I call as a Mahavidyalaya. I've been hearing with intent the passion and compassion behind the initiative when I was listening to the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of the university. I never realized that Vishwavidyalaya is actually have undertaken a very important mission of spreading education to the millions in this country. You're already talking about a student strength nearing 10,000. You're already talking about intervening in the domains of not only professional education, but also basic science and social sciences, which will really lead the institution forward, which will lead the nation forward. Having said that, I'm immensely pleased because, the education field, the education domain in India is going through paradigm changes in content, in the direction, and the kind of opportunities that is going to offer. The Vishwavidyalaya, as I understand, has already got twinning arrangements with foreign universities, and that will give the students a lot of opportunities to look at the world as one entity, and that will really add to the quality of education. So let me wish Vishwavidyalaya, I know how difficult it is to run an institution, to initiate an initiative, and it's on its way. The Vishwavidyalaya is on its way. I'm very happy that I'm being invited to address you on this Foundation Day. Having said that, I work in a non-profit sector. This was a decision that I took after I graduated, after I took my master's from England. I realized that India is actually going through a huge challenge in terms of I'm not using the word problems. I'm using the word very carefully, a challenge, because challenges can be overcome. I'm very positive about it. This institution, and through its domain of interventions in the education sector, has got an important role to play, because you're actually molding students to face the world. And what are the challenges in front of them? COVID times, post-COVID times, for instance, have taught us two important things. What are those things? You have to survive. The only way for survival is to innovate and is to create things. This is what education is all about. You have to take a different route. You have to think differently. You have to act differently, and only then you can actually survive these disasters. Are going to be post-COVID situation, going to be calendar event. I'm telling you, calendar event. And why this is happening is a concern to all of us. This is happening just because of one reason. The world needs sustainability. Sustainable is every domain. You talk about culture, you talk about social you talk about economics, you talk about architecture, you talk about engineering, every field of our life. We need to have a template, a framework where sustainability cannot be compromised anymore. What is sustainability all about? And what are the objectives of sustainability? Is to have a better world to live in, because there are a lot of calamities happening, disasters happening in many parts of the country, and we need to address that through our domain of knowledge. Whether you are doing civil engineering or whether you are doing social sciences, through your domain of knowledge, you have to address this issue of sustainability, because you cannot, world has lost chances, world has got options. I mean, now there is no other option but to adopt sustainability in the way possible by everyone out there. When I say sustainability, let me talk about the biggest challenge the world is facing now. World is now talking about new terms like climate resilience. What is resilience all about? Resilience means there's a problem and you have to come out of it. That is basically what is called as resilient. World is talking about resilient strategies for everything. And climate resilience is an important thing. As we all know, I mean, people out there, teachers, academicians, everyone knows that there is a brown agenda before the world. What is a brown agenda all about? There are three factors: poverty on one side, development on one side, and environment on the third side. The basic issue before the world, let me put it this way, is to build bridges, is to build linkages between three seemingly diverse phenomena called poverty, development, and environment. Can we synergize the whole thing? Can we bridge? Can we actually have meaningful connections, meaningful bridges between these diverse elements? Is the challenge before us. Now, people talk about poverty in a very, very negative way. Let me tell you that I have a different take on this. Poverty, to me, can be a big catalyst. It can propel people forward. It will make people to dream about a better life. So poverty in many ways has got a very positive impact on the nation's economy, nation's social polity. We are all talking about equity. We are all talking about justice. These are the primary reasons, primary pillars of strength of educational system. As I told you before, the education domain is changing. The domain is changing. India is rewriting we have a huge legacy of educational quality in this country, and we are actually sprucing it up to the, we want India to be an international center of academic excellence. We have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the skill sets also. So India is actually turning into a superpower very soon. When I say superpower, India is actually bracing its all the potential that we have, all the promises that we can give to the world. India is bracing up, and this Vishwavidyalaya is happening at the juncture of time where it can brace to the challenges of the domain that they are working in. Now, having said that, let me come back to the basic sustainability domain. So these things should be addressed. We want development. There's no doubt about that. We want development, but we want development without, we have to have very sensitive development without compromising on ecology, without compromising on ecology and environment. These are a domain where we cannot have any compromises. Now, how do you look at it? Every student studying in this Vishwavidyalaya should be aware of few things which are very critical for the nation, for the entire nation, and for the entire population. What are them? I'll just dwell on a few points that should shake you, because this is the spirit of the Foundation Day address. You should take back something. You should have a very positive outlook when you get back from this August function. What is it? India is such a water-rich state, water-rich nation when you look at it. All these states have such abundant rivers, but India's present situation is we are actually going to face a huge water shortage issue. Huge. All the rivers, I'm telling you, except probably Ganga is being revived, except Brahmaputra, all the other smaller rivers which sustain the country, they are all drying up. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink is the situation that's going to happen very soon. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Now, water conservation is going to be a critical issue in the coming years through many strategies. It can touch social sciences, it can touch basic sciences, it can touch engineering intervention, you can even have architectural dimension to it. How do you conserve is not the point of concern for me at this particular moment, but the basic mindset to conserve it is the thing that is needed now. When I say that, let me also put some figures that can startle you. In India, water-rich country, we are talking about wasting 5 billion liters a day. I'm telling you again, this goes beyond your comprehensions. 5 billion liters a day of potable water to flush the dirt from our toilets. 5 billion liters of potable water. It's a huge amount, huge amount of water. These statistics, these mathematical equations should get ingrained into India's psyche. We want to protect the water resources because these statistics should startle you and make you act on that. For instance, when I chose my career my interventions in the housing sector as an architect, I did it very carefully because I realized that the domain problem is very huge. I realized that it is beyond the comprehensions of the government. I'm telling you, 50 million families without homes is the Indian situation now. 50 million houses means almost 1/20th of the population of India. They are houseless people. They don't live in decent houses. They also have dreams like us, but they don't have the opportunity to live in a beautiful house that architect designed houses that we all own. We need to protect them. We need to give them a shelter. And that's why I chose my domain of architecture, talking about eco-sensitive architecture, energy-efficient architecture, and most importantly, cost-effective architecture. Now, that is one thing. Secondly, why the climate change is happening is of a huge concern to all of us. Climate change is happening due to undesirable activities happening in the livelihood options in our activity. And the main culprits, I belong to the fraternity of architects. It is the architects and engineers of this country which are primarily responsible for the climate change. I know I'm making a very brutal statement, but we are responsible for the climate change of this country. Why? Because I don't want to go into the details, but the undesirable activities happening in the construction sector are contributing it, whether it's the emission of carbon dioxide, whether it's the issue of ozone depletion, whether it's, I was just reading with such pain today's paper, wherein they're talking about a huge impending disaster at Joshimath, where, the Mother Earth is really falling down and the buildings are getting huge cracks in the walls and things like that. I saw a visual where the Chief Minister was going around and looking at it. Disasters are going to be calendar events, and we have to be very, very careful about it. Architecture contributes to it because, there is a methodology of looking at things, as far as sustainability is concerned. Joshimath disaster is happening because we are manipulating the Mother Earth. That is a very important thing. When floods happened in Uttarakhand a few years back, I was asked to go there to initiate the rehabilitation process. I had been working around the world in the disaster mitigant areas, and I personally don't think anybody else has done more buildings than me in disaster resistant, disaster mitigant technologies elsewhere in the world. Having said that, went to Uttarakhand, and the Chief Minister then was one Mr. Vijay Bahuguna, and he took me around on a flight to see the damages. Next day, I was asked to speak before a huge press gathering. The Chief Minister introduced me as the person who is going to design the rehabilitation package for ravaged Uttarakhand. I was not really prepared because Uttarakhand is not a land where I'm familiar with my architectural interventions, and I was taken aback for a minute. The world press was there, 200 cameras zeroing in on me, and for a minute I was nervous. And the BBC correspondent came out asking me. He just fired a question at me. I was unprepared. He said, "What is your one-liner strategy to rehabilitate Uttarakhand?" Facing a crowd like this, completely not really knowing the impact of the disaster in that state. I come from Kerala, and Uttarakhand, I know, it's the other end of the country. So I was not really prepared. And he was asking me, what is your one-liner strategy for rehabilitating Uttarakhand? When I talk to you with passion. I believe that everything has to be done with passion. That is why I was appreciating Vice Chancellor and Chancellor's words. They're talking with passion, talking about the educational domain, the Vishwavidyalaya. You need passion, not only compassion, passion to do things. And I said, look, Uttarakhand is a holy land. You have to tread on it softly. One liner, Uttarakhand is a holy land and you have to tread on it softly. And then the rest of the questions start appearing. Why do you call Uttarakhand as a holy land? I said, look at the Himalayan geology. When you build there, when you build something, if you touch the soil, you have to touch it carefully. Careful interventions are required. The soil doesn't have clay, so it can yield any time. And the undesirable activities happening in the mountain areas, have created havoc in the Himalayan geological profile. And that is something that needs to be prevented. Mitigant measures will have to be taken. And then, I went on like that. You see, this is very important. India as a whole is a holy land. You have to tread on it softly. When I say that you have to tread on it softly, I am talking about something. I'm talking about very careful intervention in terms of all our actions. All our actions should be sustainable and people-friendly. That's another thing. All our actions. It was Mahatma Gandhi, the nation's father, who said, when you have to look at the face of the poorest of the poor of this country, and before we are doing anything, think about him. That is a talisman. Think about him. Think about what kind of intervention that your action is going to make on him. If it's a positive impact, do something about it. Otherwise, don't do it was the great message that Mahatmaji had taught us. Think about the poorest of the poorest country, and every action that you are taking, whether you are writing something, whether you're doing something, any engineering interventions, any interventions, even in the social science sector, we have to ask this question ourselves. How is it going to improve the polity of India? How is it going to alleviate the status of a poor person? Is it by your action, are you going to touch his life? Is a major thing. Education should lead to such intervention. Education, the primary reason why you are talking about quality education is to look at the nation in its completeness. The legacy should be upheld. We have a huge legacy, Gurukul system and the rest of it. The legacy of Indian education is something is phenomenal. We have had universities like Takshashila and Nalanda long back before people start about educational domains. We have such systems in place. Knowledge domain, I don't think we have the richest legacy in the world in terms of, you look at the domain of medicine, you look at every field, including architecture. Where else can you find such a legacy of such profound knowledge based on scientific principles? Where else can you find? So India should continue that legacy. If you want to continue the legacy, our education system should be praised for taking up the challenges. And how do you do that is a question. You have to have a template, and template should necessarily include sustainability as the main ingredient. By sustainability, the earth will have to be protected. By protecting the earth, you are actually protecting life. You are protecting the nation. That's how you should expand the paradigm. I'm not by fear of exceeding my time. I'm not going to detail, but sustainability, not only in the field of climate resilience, social sustainability, educational sustainability, and things like that. India is facing many challenges, including, this is something that I want to tell you before I retire. One is this: India, we are all talking about gender sensitive societies. We are all talking about inclusive society. Why we are talking about inclusive societies? We are talking about 15% of our population. We are talking about 125 crores. 15% means around 20 crores of people. 20 crores of people have some kind of challenges. Old people, very young children, plus mental, physical challenges they are facing. We have to have them in the mainstream. How do you do that? I mean, it's very interesting. How do you do that? Social integration, physical integration, engineering integration, everything is required to mainstream these people. We are all dreaming about an inclusive society. We are all dreaming about a sustainable world, a sustainable society where people share the same concerns. People will work together to protect the Mother Earth. We owe a lot of things to them. So when we do anything, when you study, when you educate people, teaching, learning domains are also changing. The contents are changing. The pedagogy is changing. And the academic field, I'm telling the academicians listening to my lecture, should be braced to face the new challenges. I'm telling you, I don't know how many of you have read in detail the new educational policy that has been brought out. Very important. The system is going to change. We are all going to look about a multidisciplinary approach to education. It's about reaching out. It's about holding hands. So if you don't imbibe the spirit, you will be sidelined, I'm telling you. You have to imbibe the spirit of the new education policy and enrich your curriculum, your academic inputs with such critical inputs. With these words, I think I'll conclude now. And thank you very much for the opportunity given. Wish Vishwavidyalaya a great future forward, because I believe that you're in safe hands. You're already aiming high, and the strategies are there, policies are there, and with the help of the academicians, staff strength, 300 faculty members already in a 9-year-old, 10-year-old institution is something music to me. With all of them together, with 10,000 students, Vishwavidyalaya is going to scale heights, and I'm very happy that probably I'm going to be a part of it. Thank you very much for the opportunity given. Once again, let me personally thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor, and Sri Vishal Johri, actually, who facilitated this meeting. Thank you all. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Devyani, you are muted.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts and for motivating us. It was a great pleasure for all of us to listen to you. Your thoughts and experience will help our students in their new future. Your suggestion will help our students to stand different in the world. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to initiate the question answer session.
Sir, can I ask a question to you? So you are known as a people's architect.
Please.
You are known as a people architect. When we work on a site, to incorporate with the construction team consisting of electrician, carpenter, plumber, the coordination within them itself is a big task. And in addition to that, you involve common people, common man also, people also. So that must be having its own challenges. So how do you manage those challenges?
I manage in a very different way. Let me tell you this. I manage a different way because, as you have noted, I am probably the largest human resource base in the country. We are talking about 30,000 workers, trained habitat workers. When I say that they're trained workers, the first thing that I tell them to inspire them, to motivate them, is to tell them why this kind of technology, why are we talking about sustainable housing? Why are we talking about poverty alleviation? Why are we talking about cost-effective building technologies? Why are we talking about selecting local materials? I actually inspire them by telling them that it's for you people. People belong to your economic strata that we want to finally help. When I tell that I'm going to do buildings for people like you, they obviously take sides. This is, I mean, in a short, this thing that we tell you, that I get them ideologically focused. We have an ideology. Habitat, our group has an ideology. It talks about a different language, a different vocabulary, a different language. When I talk about mud, for instance, I build a lot of earth buildings. Last 15 years, I've been building only earth buildings. And when I talk earth buildings, a lot of issues that come to the questions. A lot of questions are being raised about I tell them that it's such a beautiful material, it's a versatile material, it's a strong material, it's a durable material, because I myself is a mason. I work with my hands. When you touch the material, it gives a completely different feel. You experience the material. Then the strength and the durability will come to your fingertips. Then we authenticate the technology, we validate the technology, take it to Central Building Research Institutes, Structural Engineering Research Institute. By validating, authenticate the technology, authenticating materials, it becomes acceptable. And when you test the material and do it, there's a beautiful thing that happens to you. That's a magical experience. You're touching the materials and the feel of the materials, and it's a plastic material, it's a sensuous material. So that way, when I train the masons, when I tell my laborers, it's a dedication. When you look at it, when I build a house, I'm dedicating it to the beneficiary. Likewise, when the masons feel that, their blood, sweat, and tears are being added to cement and steel, then there's a kind of dedication. That is how I keep on motivating people. And you were talking about service people, I mean, electricians, plumbers, painters coming in. I mean, the same thing that happens. I tell them that you cannot cheat. A person who is coming to is helpless, he's ignorant, and through your technical knowledge, you have to touch their lives. And that's how I do it, Professor Vishal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I had a question to Professor Shankar. How do you incorporate Larry Baker's idea into your constructions and for disaster management?
Thank you very much for that question. But let me tell you that there's a notion which is very prevalent that whether you're talking about Shankar's buildings or Laurie Baker's building, there's a notion that they're not as strong, as durable, and as long-lasting as any other thing. I will refute that. I will completely, that's a very baseless allegation, because the entire technology and their material framework is based on authenticated and validated evaluations. We have lost, when you talk about engineering, we have lost the common sense engineering. That's how I should tell you. Sir, I mean, this kind of material, when you look at the Indian standard specification, you won't find much specifications on mud, earth as a building material. But we have tested it. We have made, structural upgradations. Let me tell you that. Now we actually use mud, for instance, and I'm just citing an example. By strengthening it, I mean, the kind of bricks that we do, actually they are much more stronger than ordinary country-born bricks. We talk about compressive strength. Our bricks are much more stronger than, you talk about 25 kilos, 30 kilograms per centimeter square. I'm talking about 50 kilograms per centimeter square. So it qualifies. But the only thing is that if you want to qualify a material, you need to do it with some conviction. That's very important. There is some conviction you have to do it. Yeah, the science is there, technology is there. We have to use it to, I'll just focus on this material since you asked this question. Why I'm using earth? It's almost a no-cost material. It doesn't go through a process. It doesn't get, you don't have to waste tons of wood in burning, if you want to burn bricks. So ecologically, I'm doing a very sustainable process. And there's no energy involved in this because I'm not burning. So it becomes very friendly, energy efficient process. So when you look at all these things, my technology, my selection of material qualifies. Laurie Baker used a different template. But all his building, he has built, maybe you're not aware of it. He has built multi-story buildings. Center for Development Studies in Trivandrum and all, they're multi-story, 5-6 stories. I cannot actually explain it to you on a Zoom meeting, but the way he did was pure engineering, very deftly using even 4.5 inches walls into structural members. It's something that is delight if you really want to see that. That's my brief response to your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there are questions from students. A question is there: how universities and institutes can contribute or can implement the sustainable development?
Can I answer that?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, by incorporating it into the syllabus is one thing. Incorporating into the syllabus, we have in Kerala, the first year actually, we're talking about engineering discipline, there is a paper on sustainability. There's a paper, it has two dimensions. One, the engineering part of it, and the other thing is the social part of it. We teach them why sustainability is required in the curriculum. that is a great way forward. Plus, when universities should encourage many things. When you're talking about extracurricular activities, you should put sustainability in a very subtle form to them. When you're talking about planting trees, it talks about sustainability. Because I believe, personally, as an environmental activist, I believe that trees are the answers for climate change. As simple as that. Action. When you're conserving water, you're taking a positive action. I mean, you can do it very deftly, very subtly by incorporating it into your action programs and things like that. This is my very brief response to the question. Yeah.
Okay, sir. There is a second question asked by a student. What as a citizen can I do to make the development more sustainable?
There is only one way of doing it. The one way of doing it is to, when you're talking about sustainable development, you should, everything that you should do, I'm telling you, I don't believe in sermonizing. I don't believe in imposing ideas on people. Do it with sensitivity. Dil se karna padega. Whatever you do, you have to do it with, dil se karna padega. I'm not very good in Hindi, but I'm telling you have to do it with passion and compassion. It's like loving your mother. Loving Mother Earth is like loving your mother. You should take it in that spirit, and then everything will fall into place. So that sensitivity is something that you should acquire. Teachers should prepare the students to gain that kind of sensitivity. And then the beautiful, we are all going, but the next generation will have a beautiful world to live in. That's my dream also, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Another question is there. Sir, we use mud-bagged bricks which last more than 1,000 years of decompose in nature. How we can say mud architecture is sustainable?
I didn't get the question. Can you come back to it again?
Hello, sir.
Can you come back? I didn't get the question right. Can you repeat that question?
Sir. Yes, sir. When we use mud-bagged bricks which last more than 1,000 years to decompose in nature, how we can say mud architecture is sustainable?
Mud architecture is sustainable because 10 reasons. Very quickly, I tell you. One, it's an no-cost material, so it qualifies the criterion for sustainability. It's an energy efficient material because the production doesn't need energy. It's an energy efficient, most important. You have to listen to this. It's an insulating material. We need cooler houses. We need cooler interiors. The temperature is rising. So how do you insulate the building? We are using heavy electricity appliances. We are putting air conditioners. We are putting fans throughout the day to bring in the light and the air. There's natural light, natural air coming in. So, mud actually insulates. In colder climate, it's warm interiors. In warm climates, it's cool interiors. There's no other material in the world like mud which really insulates. And there are many other reasons. Easy to build. We're talking about local capacities, local material. When you're talking about sustainability, local should be the mantra, Everything that you use for your building, at least for your residents, should be locally available. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said, if you want to build a house, you have to build it with the materials that you get from a 5-kilometer radius. So that is how it should be. And I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer it at length, but this is my brief response to that. Yeah.
Okay, sir. There is also another question. That we are previously in architecture mastered peoples. If we see the temples developed by our ancestors, there is still an architectural mastery. But still we look at the buildings developed by our Western countries. How we can bring that architectural mastery now?
I actually do agree to the students' observation that this is a very sad thing that the mastery, this is what I keep on telling people, the legacy is gone. The mastery is gone. You know, when I look at all the big temples and all the big, but it's a situation the world over. It's not only India. It's not only temples. You look at the old churches built in the Renaissance period in Europe, across the world, most done in Middle East and things like that. Everything was talking about a legacy. Everything. See, the basic difference is those days, the workers were doing it as an offering to God. With such this thing, you know, that culture has got very badly manipulated, diluted. It's no longer an offering. You know, it was based on values. Your work was based on honesty, truthfulness, and rest of it. That has got a beating. And yeah, I mean, I'm also, I don't know, you may not know that in Kerala, we have under the government of Kerala, we have cultural institutions. And one of the cultural institutions is called Vastuvidya Gurukulam. I happen to be the chairman of that particular cultural body by government of Kerala. And we are trying our level best to promote. It's not faith-based domain. It's based on scientific traditional knowledge. We are trying to promote traditional architecture. We are trying to look at architecture means not only buildings. It also means automobiles. Yanam, you know, it also means furniture. So we are looking at it and using, for instance, bamboo in a big way. We are building with bamboo, we are building with earth, we are building with all the local materials, we are building beautiful furniture with all these materials. And this is how we are trying to revive the old tradition, you know, revive the old tradition, especially the skill set. We have a school of, traditional, school to promote traditional skill sets. That means traditional carpentry, traditional masonry. We are trying to do that. And some of the knowledge base is gone, especially, you know, in my state. We used to have such beautiful plastering material, you know, lime with egg white and things like that. It is a very heady mixture with which we used to plaster, smooth plaster, which will last for 300, 400 years. That knowledge base is lost. And we are trying to revive that by looking at some of the local ingredients to be put in such this thing. Then we are trying to do that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other question?
I think it's up and we need to conclude. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
sir. So thank you everyone for your lively participation. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Shweta Agrawal, Associate Professor, Department of Life Science and Co-Coordinator, Cultural Committee, for the word of thanks.
Thank you, Devyani ma'am. Hope I am audible. A very good afternoon to everyone. I, Dr. Shweta Agrawal, Co-Coordinator, Cultural Committee, on behalf of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, on the occasion of the 9th Foundation Day of our prestigious university, feel privileged to express the feelings of gratitude towards our chief guest, Padma Shri Professor G.N. Shankar, internationally renowned architect, for taking out some valuable time from his very busy schedule and adding blossoms to the event and enlightening us with the emerging paradigms on sustainable architecture, and quoting very rightly that the only way to achieve sustainability is dil se karna padega. I would like to thank Sri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Chancellor, and Dr. Upinder Dhar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, for their wholehearted support, mentorship, and encouragement for us. I would extend a sincere feeling of gratitude towards the deans, heads, and coordinators of different constituent institutions and heads of different departments and section heads of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya for their unconditional support. I also like to thank Architect Vishal Yadi, Coordinator Cultural Committee and Director Sri Vaishnav Institute of Architecture, for his vision in guiding this endeavor. I would like to thank Dr. Sheetal Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Science, Humanities and Arts, Ms. Divyani Joshi, Assistant Professor, Shri Vaishnav Institute of Information Technology, and Mr. Nirvan Ingole, Assistant Professor, Shri Vaishnav Institute of Forensic Science, for working on the minute details and putting a lot of hard work and perseverance for which has paved the way towards the successful conduction of this lecture. Special thanks to Mr. Shadab Sheikh, Mr. Parvez, and Mr. Shrikant Telang for providing glitchless technical support for this online lecture. Last but not the least, I thank all the committee members, faculty, supporting staff, and student volunteers directly or indirectly involved in this venture for their constant efforts, untiring support, and readiness to perform each and every task. I would also like to thank all the attendees of this lecture who have given their valuable time for this and have attended it to make it a successful venture. May our university keeps achieving new heights and reaches new horizons and dimensions. Thank you all. Have a nice day ahead. Over to you, Divyani ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Excellence is never an accident. It was always the result of high intentions, sincere efforts, and intelligent execution. It represents the wisest choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Now, I would like to request all of you to switch on your camera for a group photo.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Shankar.
Thank you, sir.
So we may
Thank you.
exit now. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully we'll meet sometime. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. We can have a mud workshop with students.
please do that, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.